Um, both women to fill their shoes. So, when you guys are ready, we'll get started.
Okay,
Eric?
yes, thanks for the patience. Sorry, we were just finalizing some technical aspects here, so thanks, Katie.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we have a quorum, we have 10 members here. Great. The first item on our agenda is the Shellfish harvest season for Greenwich Bay, Bissell Cove, Fox Island, Bristol Harbor. In Bristol Harbor. We had just one proposal to make any changes to the schedule. And if nobody has any comment on the Bissell Cove, Fox Island, Bristol Harbor areas, I will approve their schedule by consent. Sorry, I didn't put that stuff. You want me to start with Greenwich? Did you have that on there already? Is that queued up?
Yeah, that's queued up. I'm sorry, we just had an issue with advancing the slide
Okay.
here. But and I know you started on the first agenda, but could I just interrupt for one moment?
Okay.
So thanks. So folks, if you don't have agendas, there's agendas over on the right side. If you didn't have an opportunity to sign in, we'll pass around the sign-in sheet, but please do sign in. This is the agenda that was noticed. And so like Katie said, it starts with the heartbeat. Starts with a discussion of the winter harvest schedules for Greenwich, Bissell, Fox Island, and Bristol Harbor. Then Dave Borkman's going to give an Office of Water Resources program, Shellfish program update. Then Pat Barrett's going to give a brief update on the harvest in Providence River Area E to date. And then Katie's going to give a quick update on just a kind of FYI on the Marine Fishery Council SAP operating policy, and then we're going to open it up for public comment. So thanks.
Yep. All right. So yes, we'll start with Greenwich Bay. It's up there. We have one proposal. Up on the screen there. Those are the specific dates. That reflect accurately your proposal, Mike?
Yes, but I had, when I gave you that, those extra days, I think there's 3 there. That would be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just so we know, Wednesday is Christmas, the 25th. And so would New Year's Day, that. So those days would be taken off what we normally get. So I think, just talking to Jeff, I think we're allowed 48 hours, which is like 12 openings. And I think we only had 8 scheduled with the way it laid out. So I would ask, I was just talking to Brennan, do we want to add the 24th, the Tuesday before Christmas in? Just so you know, I got the schedule for Area E. We took 24th and 25th off the table when we scheduled Area E for that week. So my question is, do we want to add the Tuesday for Greenwich? Area E wouldn't be open because it's not, it's listed here not to be open. And also for New Year's Eve, which is the 31st, which is extra Tuesday. So I added 3 days on that. There would be the Tuesday, Thursday, which is the 23rd, 26th, and I believe the 31st, which would be a Tuesday. So I think the 48 hours allows for that. I just want to have input because I kind of, you know, put it out there on my own. I don't know if that's a problem for Brennan.
In my opinion, I mean, the 24th, that's just gonna sit there for 2 days right there. And the 31st, it's kind of a waste after.
So the 24th, if it was open, because what's really, really difficult for everything, this area, is you may say, okay, we don't want the Tuesday, but it doesn't open Monday, it opens that Tuesday. That's happened before. You don't think that having them in the cooler for the, that next Thursday, which would be the weekend before New Year's Eve, would be helpful then?
In my opinion, if we were to add days, I would put week before.
Which would be, that's also the week that Area E should be opening two times, I think.
You know,
I'm saying something wrong here, guys.
do you know the schedule offhand?
Yes, I do.
It's
December 16th and 20th, first 2 non-consecutive. So that could either be Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday.
So that's scheduled.
Yep,
So, we sometimes do add the week prior, if that makes more sense than the Tuesday before Christmas. Then we can make it the Tuesday, which would be 24th, it's up at 17th,
That would be 17 and 19.
17 and 19. So we would add the 17 and 19 and take away the 23rd and the 31st.
No, I leave the 23rd.
24th, thank you.
so that would be,
Okay,
5-day opening on the second week.
it'd be 5 days consecutive. With also a possibility of, well, it would be because they go up the same half inch. So it could be literally 3 days of, Greenwich and 2 days of Area E. But we also know that if it's a Monday, Wednesday, nobody's gonna go to Greenwich, it's gonna be Area E that people are harvesting from. So I'm putting it out, for discussion. What do you guys think would be the best way to move forward? Do it the week before Christmas and do all 5 days, and that's a big market time. That's a good time to move stuff.
My thought is that even though it's open and nobody goes, that counts against our time, in terms of if it was dry, right?
Yeah, but then not past the year. So that you only have that allotted time.
We're not gonna use all the time, eh?
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually a very short time if we did it, because Wednesday's Christmas and New Year's. So we lost 2 of the days, so there's only 8 openings. And we're allowed, I think, 12. So we have 4 to play with. So I would take back those dates and add them to the previous week,
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the Tuesday and Thursday.
Tuesday is the Christmas Eve. I mean, shipping wise, Monday's the last day. You don't ship on Christmas Eve. So it might be small shipments, but that's gonna be the bulk of it. And then it'd be mostly local sales. But are you really gonna be, how much local sales is gonna be on Christmas Eve?
There are other dealers that do quite a bit of local sales.
Yeah, you have to bring the product in, technically you have to, well, I don't know what they're doing, but technically they have to be 4 hours for the product to cool. So technically, they come in at 12, you wouldn't be able to sell until 3 o'clock on Christmas.
Well, it's the first I heard of that, but dealers on our side, they all have retail shops.
I agree, that's what I'm saying. Monday came in, Monday would come
I'm
in.
talking like even the 24th, they would have lines outside the door. Buy stuff.
If
There
the
was
product-
opportunity for them to sell it, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm telling you, it's technically supposed to be 4 hours of product to cool, so it'd be 3 o'clock.
So do you think the 24th would help you for the following week, going in, after Christmas into the New Year's week?
I mean, it's everyone has a thing. For our thing, I don't think it's much work to be. But that's stuff.
So if that's, I mean, then we always get back to what I mentioned earlier, that might be the one day it opens. Yeah, it might be opening Tuesday, on the 24th. And you're not gonna get any that day, that might be the only opportunity for your Christmas, Christmas, New Year's market. But I'm okay, if everybody wants to move the week before, like we talked, and eliminate the Tuesday before Christmas and the Tuesday before New Year's, I would have no issues with that, if everybody wants to do that. There you go.
If you left the 24th and the 31st,
You could still add those other days from the prior week, and I think still be under the 12-day limit. We have
but
4
then
days.
also, you wouldn't have any overlap for Area E, correct? No chance of overlap. A day that you're losing,
Well, the
Yeah, you have
24th
to
is, it's
choose.
scheduled not to be open area E.
yeah, right.
And the
right.
25th, so there would be no overlap on the 24th.
But if you add the 17th and the 19th, two of those days are days that you choose to go E or,
Possibly. It's
Yeah.
Or the 16th.
yeah, but that whole week, yeah. And that's better for you, Brennan?
The previous week, I think would be better for Mark as whole, I mean, it's, shipping would be all that week. The 31st, I think is just a waste. I mean, especially guys that are doing the retail that day, if you don't get rid of it, nobody's buying stuff after that. I mean, if the holiday's over, business sucks after that. So I think the 31st, you don't get rid of that day, nobody's coming the next day to buy it, the next day is just gonna be nothing.
Can we open up on the 31st? No,
No, we only did the one day the week of Christmas, not the week.
not the week of New Year's. Yeah, we did 1, 2, 1, I thought. So, if you wanna take out the 31st and keep the 23rd and 26th and the week before, do the Tuesday and Thursday then, which I think is something you're saying, that getting all 5 days the week before Christmas, the week of the 16th to the.
Yeah, I'm open to whatever you guys are thinking. I just, 24th, it is what it is, you'll get rid of it, after that, the next holiday. I just think the 31st is just a waste.
So I'd be willing to take I think if everybody agrees, 31st definitely off the table. And then do we want to have, and do we want to have the week before, make it all 5 days? That same week, Area E will be open up 2 days. If
It's either or, it doesn't matter, like you say, if it doesn't count against the thing, what doesn't, the difference is making it open, they're both open at the same time.
right, it doesn't count against it,
Yeah.
so. Is everybody supportive of going the week before and adding that Tuesday and Thursday? Which I guess is the 17th and 19th, is that correct? You got it highlighted there? Right?
Yeah.
And then the 24th. But we want to get rid of the 31st, so we'd be adding,
If we
3
got rid
days.
of, if we got rid of the 31st and kept the 24th, it put us right at the 12 days.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I think the 31st would be just a waste.
So what Jeff said, if you want to retreat.
So new proposal, add, keep the
So,
30.
so December 11th, 13th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 23, 24, 26, 27, 30. That's 12 days.
12 days of Christmas.
Oh, so you're keeping the 24th, but still not.
No, 31st.
And like I said, that might be, we've had, everybody that's in the room knows, that could be the one day it opens. It could be, it could be rainy, December's one of the rainiest months. Area E might not open at all, and then you might get that Tuesday would be the day that, it would open.
So this year, we're the same,
As far as,
the rain closing everything.
Yeah.
yeah, probably. Whatever we plan is gonna be just the opposite, so. That sounds like something we would put forward and support.
So you're looking at the 16th being E and Greenwich,
Possible.
possibly.
So the E would be the first 2 non-consecutive days that week. So it would either be Monday and Wednesday, Tuesday and Thursday, or Wednesday and Friday. So Greenwich would be every day. So whatever day the river isn't would be Greenwich.
You don't think that's gonna play havoc with the smaller dealers? As far as taking in a bunch of product and dropping it place in 20 cents?
On a holiday, I don't think so.
Well, to that point, it's just so hard to try to drive the lane down the middle, between the big guys and the little guys. So it's usually the Christmas week for a lot of reasons. One is, guys need money, it's Christmas, everybody has bills for Christmas. And also it's probably the second strongest market we have in the year, other than the fourth.
Yeah, and we didn't get a single holiday.
Thankfully, all Italians live there. Seven edition, yeah. It's tough to try to figure it out, and you never know, it might rain that Monday, and we only get the one day in an area meet, and all those other days. So sometimes I think it's best to put the days there, just in case that's how it falls.
I mean, we planned so much for the holidays this year, and we get a single one, and then it opened right after. I mean, I'd rather plan it for the holiday.
To his point, and I was gonna save it, we're not gonna do an e-schedule or anything, but last year, the last meeting in March, which is, I think, one of the best meetings we had, we really worked together as a group trying to figure out, E and what to do with it. We ended up trying to get 5 days for the 4th of July holiday. The Monday, Wednesday, Friday prior, and the Monday, Tuesday prior to the Wednesday. And the gentleman here, he's here now, I think that's a little aggressive, and frankly, I'm like, that's kind of aggressive, it's dry. But we didn't get one of those days. You never know when that opening day is gonna fall. It could be just about one day and it rains, so, and it's over too, like, once, it might be a problem, but then it's gonna be over. Within a week or two, so, I think trying to get access the best we can is the best way to go.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
So the 16th, they're looking at E and Greenwich being open at the same time. 17th Greenwich, 18th Greenwich, 19th Greenwich, 20th Greenwich and E at the same time. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, and to give some reference, the last 3 years, we got 1 day in area E. We got 3 days the next year, or maybe 3 the first time. It was the wet one. We got all three. And then we got one, and I think we got one last year. So it's usually you get 50% if you're lucky of the dates that you put in.
Dave, you would be looking at 16th is the Monday. If E was open, then Tuesday would be Greenwich. 18th, the Wednesday would be E, and then Thursday, Friday. If E was open on.
So they wouldn't be open at the same time.
Though they would be, but you would go, I would assume people would go to
Catch them in the river, drop it off, and then go to Greenwich.
so you have an hour of it.
Or not.
So the 23rd is Greenwich, but no E. That would be E.
It could be, it could be.
Could we be,
Would be an E.
it's the 24th that E is not open, or the 25th.
So the
Say
27th
it was-
is 22nd. You will be there.
27th.
23, it could be 23, 25, 27.
So we're looking at 24th being off, 25th is Christmas, 26th is Greenwich. Thursday.
Yes.
27th, Greenwich and E again.
Yeah, last year we decided to, instead of doing one, the 3 weeks prior to, that holiday period, that the 11th, which is when Greenwich is scheduled, December 11th, that's too early for the market. So that's why we kind of did a 1-2-1 to, a one, whatever, we moved it, so we didn't open up that first week when Greenwich moved, which would have been the 11th and 13th.
So I'm gonna ask John this because with your guys over on the other side, smaller shops, Do you think that that schedule's too aggressive? That from the 16th to the 20th? Do you think that's too aggressive for those guys? 'Cause that's a lot of shellfish.
No, I don't.
You think they can move all of
Because
that?
you're not gonna get that many guys to go.
Even with E?
Well, if they go to E, yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
theoretically, they should be able to move it, but price wise, anything could happen. I've seen it. These guys on the west side get 29, get 23.
That's what I'm talking.
2 weeks ago, so, that's okay, because generally, well, I guess it depends if you're digging up the transplanted stuff, you guys are doing decent. It could have an impact. But
You know, we had two good transplants coming out. You know, we had Waller Cove, we had Greenwich, which was a good one. So there's a lot of stuff.
Right.
I'm just wondering if it's,
I mean, my opinion is, like you said, it's probably gonna rain some at a time. We already know that. Nobody knows what's going, no, it's probably gonna happen. So it's gonna take a chunk out of it, one of those weeks, whether it benefits us or it hurts us.
I think
It's up in the
the
air.
first year he was open, we had all the rain, we got all like 11, 12 days in Greenwich that winter. And I can't remember when that happened last, where we got, all days, and we got all the E days too. And then the next year, same thing, how many days did we get in December in Greenwich? Just a couple, right? Last year, it was like 4 New Year's, I think.
Yeah, we didn't get in before Christmas.
We didn't get in before Christmas this last year, so December's a wet month, it's like 4.5 inches, it's one of the wettest ones going.
That's why I think it makes more sense to plan as much as you can for the holiday.
Yeah, no, I don't have an issue with,
If it's a little bit more, at least it's a holiday. It's gonna move.
yeah, I agree. I just don't agree with, I agree with the schedule, just like Jeff said. Everything with the 31st, that gives you 12 days, 48 hours. They open, if they don't, they don't, there's nothing we can do about that. I don't think it's gonna, on the east side, our price will end up being low, I can tell you that. But whatever days we get, we get. I think it's-
We've always tried to maximize the Greenwich opening for Christmas, to get the, to schedule as many days as we can. It's just Area E kind of throws a curveball on it.
Oh, he was just asking how many people go to Greenwich compared to E. Not many from the east side. That's what, yeah.
Right.
A lot of the guys that are older,
I'd say third. If I was to put a number on it.
third compared to E.
No, I'm saying how many East guys are going to Greenwich on Hope?
Well, just in general population,
I. No, what I'd say a half dozen maybe.
Oh, really?
10, right? I mean, I'm. Not many, there's not many, there's not a whole ton of them left, everybody comes out of the woodwork, needs something, I mean. But I don't have to tell you guys, you know what's out there, you know what I mean? See the guys that are working on regular day.
motion, are we there yet, Katie, or?
Are you there?
Yes, we've been there.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we follow through on this revamped schedule that's up there.
Date and by 250,
I would second.
second by Brenda. We'll wait for him to have it on.
Zoom people?
I don't see any. I'm just trying to get this to link back up. Sorry.
the one that revamp, one you're proposing, 24th is off.
I think the 24th state was the 31st that we all agreed to was a bad day that had been scheduled. And taking that one off gets us to the 12 number that were allowed. Yes.
I was wondering for.
We're waiting for the motion to be put on the screen, so everyone can see it. What's that?
It is I can tell you it's the same,
Okay. Then
it's
we'll-
the same language that's there in red. I just need
Yeah.
to, actually, let's probably not close, but
Okay,
PowerPoint's not responding, so
do you want me to just go to this one?
that would be fine.
Okay. Okay, all in support of the motion, which is in red, please raise your hand.
Red and yellow though, right? The yellow is
Yes.
that the one?
Yep, that line that says proposal one.
For some reason, I can edit this slide. I just can't show you the next slide, so.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passed unanimously.
Now, Katie, the Bristol Harbor one you said is going back to the standard one, it's set.
Status quo.
Now, is that January? It opens in January?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on?
No, I didn't get any proposals on any changes. So,
Put a decent amount in there. That there's.
do you want me to just move on to the next one or just move on?
I'm just reopening it. I'm optimistic that will be fine when I do this.
For the for the Greenwich schedule, other than December, we're just going with status quo. Or is that the next one? Good, like for Greenwich though,
Yep, so starting January status.
it's still the same, like we.
So that wasn't added to the motion, but if you
That's
like,
what I was,
we can make a second.
I just wanna make sure.
This is standard one, take away New Year's Day. Is that Wednesday?
Yes,
I believe it does, right? It takes away Christmas and New Year's
Okay.
Day.
yes, yeah, so it's, so
So this was the language, sorry.
So that's the language, but we didn't add anything about the January, starting January for Greenwich. You know, because usually, you know, these are usually the dates open for discussion. And then January, it goes to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, except for January 1st,
Yeah.
if that falls. So, would you like me to make a second, or would you like someone to make a second motion to keep the January, April schedule?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, is that the best?
Usually we just deal with the Greenwich, the
Yeah,
December one.
but I usually add to the motion, and then in January do.
We already voted on that one, so just make
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah, I think I agree with. Just,
Okay.
I think you have to make a clean motion.
So we'll make a new motion for just Greenwich. Do you want to do that slide one time?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't want I'm going to relax.
You got rid of it in the fall. You didn't schedule. That's all.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
It excludes the first.
Is this where you wanted to make the second motion?
So, yes, status quo, correct? Status quo is what you're imagining?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to make sure it's not open on the first, which is the Wednesday. So it'd be, what, starting January 2nd, it will be open Monday, Wednesday, Friday till April 30th.
Is it equal Monday, Wednesday, Friday? January 2nd through,
Or actually, January 3rd, if you want to do it, that'd be Friday, but
okay.
yes, either one, just so we, as Jeff said, you know, make sure we got it all down, we did revise the schedule.
That could affect the short of this. Second.
Well, the second's a Thursday,
No, I know.
Is
It's
it-
open every day for the short of this, right?
not commercial.
It is at one pack.
One pack?
Yeah, I'm not, it's not good.
Sorry.
No, that's the only reason I said it, just.
And from what I hear, it's open when.
Yeah.
Does that language reflect what you all were discussing?
Make that.
You got the roll year up there.
Thanks.
Do you think we need to include Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 12?
I would. 8 to 12.
What did I say? 8 to 12?
No, you didn't say any of the numbers. People should limit that in there. If we push with the Sunday. What's that?
Do we get three bushel limit for the shortings?
No, it's still, Greenwich is not a commercial,
It's 3 bushels on the day that they'll do.
oh,
Put it with shortings, get the diet on those days. Just get the diet. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at least if we go out and during the hours of time, get all the three nickels. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
they tried that in the river.
I don't think we can do that at this meeting because it hasn't been noticed, but for next year's. I would think more should have worked on it. This would be. Okay, how does this look?
Yeah, how's it look? Looks good, and this is for the October, Marine Fishery Council, in case
Correct.
you find any kind of glitches or something.
Yes. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion? Motion by John McDonald. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Right, yes.
Call to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? No abstentions. Motion passes. Just, you want to.
Should say April 30th up there?
Is that really matter?
I think they're.
I think it should
intention
say
is
it.
clear.
I think it should say, because you could read that two different ways. You could say till April 2025 or April 3rd. I think it should say April 30th.
So it'd be January's, well, you said it, you did fixed it down below, but should you say January 2nd through April 30th? That's the way.
So that was that reflect on, yeah. Everyone comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to speak to the area or?
Oh, sure. So now we're moving on to the Bissell Cove Fox Island harvest schedule. You guys all know where this is, but these are the maps that we typically include with these slides. It's in the lower left-hand corner shown by tagging area 7D. And this is the current default schedule that's in effect, well, was in effect for last year. And we did not receive any proposals.
You want to show the first one next, and then we can.
Sure, if you wanted,
Yeah,
to do them both.
picture.
Similar, so this is Bristol Harbor harvest area. And this is the default schedule that was in effect last year.
Nobody has any thoughts, we didn't receive any proposals, so I'd like to approve by consent. Okay. Good.
I'll be able to edit that.
So you don't have to, obviously, have a vote if you support. That's, that is a template.
Thanks.
I can clean this up a little bit afterwards. The next, Dave Workman's gonna give a presentation. We're just gonna give it, yeah,
It's also known as the bear or bad English presentation, getting all the data. Try to start off like that. Yeah.
Try September so far,
All
though.
right, I'm saving them. Okay, yeah.
Right. Get the worst over. Eric, how do you advance slide?
This one I feel pretty clean, it's so sport, but Pat can sit here and do it. Oh, wait, hold on, thank you.
Okay, so, I'd like to give a presentation on some updates on the water quality part of the Shellfish program. Some members of the staff had some questions and some things they wanted updates on, so I'm gonna try to speak to those different points through this presentation. Stating the obvious, right, it's been extremely wet, it's headline from the Province Journal back in May, and it's continued. And our part of the program dealing with water quality is trying to balance these three things. We have the need for the industry to be out working in areas. Now, on the other hand, we have things like rain that can convey pollution into the area and exceed the FDA limits for air. So we're trying to balance those two things out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that next. If it works. There you go. Okay, so what I'm gonna speak to are these points that the staff had asked to hear a little updates on each of them. A quick program overview of how the water quality part fits into the bigger picture. Some updates on rain, and we've had, many of you have noticed, some of you I've talked to and weekends and things when we've had trouble with rain gauges this summer. Updates on conditional areas, approved areas, and then FDA and ISSC updates. One thing, just in getting this together, this accumulation plot is rain at TF green. It's a bunch of lines. Essentially, you start at 0, 0 in January 1st, and every time it rains, add that amount of rain to the line. This red line is the driest year in the record, back in 1965. This blue line is the wettest year at TF green in the record, which dates back to 1904. That was 1983. The green line is this year, 2024. As you can see, the green line is following and even exceeding 1983. So it's confirming, and just a different way to show exactly what we've been dealing with. We've had a tremendous amount of rain this year. These last 3 weeks, the flat line, that hasn't rained. We don't know where it will land in the next 3 to 4 months of the year, but it has been an extremely wet year, even in historical context of 100 years. Next, please. Okay, program overview. All of us in this room that deal with shellfish are following the guidance in one way or another of the NSSP. It's this national program. It's a combination of the FDA sort of on top, overseeing everything, state and local regulators in the industry. Essentially, it formed about 100 years ago when people were getting sick from eating shellfish harvested in places where the water quality wasn't very good. People were just figuring all this stuff out. It also standardized whether you get shellfish from Rhode Island, it's a very high quality program, or some other state. If you're a consumer in the United States, and Canada follows a similar model, there's a reassurances that by following the guidance here, it's going to be a safe food product. Okay. All of it is to protect public health. All of the guidance is in this 500-page document. It's everything from growing area, water quality stuff I'm going to talk about tonight, to dealers, to stainless steel chemicals, all kinds of things. It's all in there. A new copy, a new version was just put out 2 weeks ago. All of it is to protect public health. Next, please. There's flexibility in the NSSP. Different states handle it different ways. You can picture Rhode Island, a very small state, how we measure water quality and monitor it versus, say, California, a huge state. So there's flexibility. This is how Rhode Island chooses to handle the program. There's 3 state agencies plus the FDA and industry. The Department of Health does things like all the testing, also checking dealers and food safety end of it. The Coastal Resources Management Council does aquaculture. We're involved into these meetings about aquaculture siting. Then DEM does this part in yellow. Law enforcement patrols the closed areas, the closed times, make sure regulations are followed. Fisheries set regulations and things related to sustaining a catch of all the fisheries in the state. Agriculture has some regulations related in part to agriculture, and then water quality. That's the part I'm going to spend the rest of this presentation talking about. Next, please. And I should mention, water quality has lots of aspects. In the NSSP for shellfish, Water quality means fecal coliform. The conference has agreed to use fecal coliform as an index or a proxy for contamination of water by things, for example, like sewage. The basic part of the water resources water quality program is to set in guidance, based on guidance in SP, where and when it's safe to harvest shellfish, okay? That's the basic function. We do it through three main things: monitoring, putting in shellfish closures when needed, and then publishing maps, getting out the word when areas close. Okay, so some of the notification is annual things, like the annual notice of pollution, polluted shellfish grounds, that is the maps. Other things are on sometimes day-to-day basis, right? When a rain closure happens, you get the messages either by email or through the hotline or on the website. So for monitoring, there's 328 bacteria monitoring stations around the state borders. Those greenish dots on the map show some of them. We collect between 2,000 and 2,500 bacteria fecal coliform water samples a year to demonstrate that to the FDA that waters are safe and meeting criteria for shellfish. In addition, and I'm not going to spend any time talking about it, we also monitor for harmful phytoplankton and do shoreline surveys. And just briefly, shoreline surveys are on a rotating basis. Each of the shellfish areas every 10 or 12 years get a, essentially walk the shoreline or go by boat and check every pipe, stream, discharge going into it for bacteria levels. Last year was Point Judith Potter. This year was Kwani and Winnie Pond. So you may have seen some of our folks going around looking at streams. Okay, so that's the big picture. Taking samples, monitoring to demonstrate to the FDA where and when it's safe to harvest shellfish. Next, please. Don't look at the numbers specifically. This is from 2023. This table on the top is months of the year. Down the side here is the different shellfish areas in the state. Each grid, for example, 13 samples in January of last year were taken in the West Passage. You add that up, we take somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 of these samples a year. What we do is take that data and compile it and compare it to the FDA standards for safe shellfish in these different areas. There's a lot of interesting little things in here. For example, you see a little hole here in March. We didn't do a heck of a lot. The lower end of monitoring boats outboard died. That the boat was down for quite a few weeks. The salt ponds, we generally don't get out there in the dead of winter. We sample them more in the summer months, things like that. Next, please. Okay, what are the criteria? Using fecal coliform again, there's two standards. Where the level is on average, so think of when you were in school, right? You get an A, a B, a C, whatever grade, the average. We use a geometric of 14. That's the FDA standard. 14 bacteria in 100 mLs of seawater. That's a very low number. Shellfish waters have to be exceedingly free of bacteria in order to be eligible for harvest. And then there's a second criteria, how variable it is, because you could have a two, and then three or four thousands. So there's two variability criteria. One is the 90th percentile. How often are you up at the high end? And then for conditionally approved areas, less than 10% of the samples can exceed 31. So just, I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. Two numbers to keep in mind. The average should be less than 14, and you don't want many of the numbers to be over 31. Okay? Keep in mind that in pristine water, if there is even such a thing anywhere, you'd see less than 2 bacteria per 100 mLs. In sewage, untreated sewage, you'd see 1 to 10 million of these bacteria in 100 mLs. So it's a huge range. Okay, you want to be at the low end. Next, please. Okay, conditionally approved areas. What is a conditionally approved area? Conditionally approved areas are a management strategy. There's a little bit of a paradox in that the waters that are very productive for shellfishing are sometimes at the heads of estuaries up in the bay, where there's a lot of freshwater input. In developed areas, that same freshwater input can bring bacteria. That's where wastewater treatment plants are. That's where stormwater comes in. Conditionally approved plan through the FDA is a way to say, okay, under some conditions, like dry weather, these places are fine to harvest shellfish. when it rains above some certain amount, the bacteria numbers go up, they have to close. In Rhode Island, we have 2 types of conditionally approved areas. 6 areas are closed due to the presence of boats, right? In the summer, Potter's, Cove on Prudence, Bristol Harbor, et cetera, they close. When the boats go away, attention to pollution goes away, the areas open in the winter. The areas of most interest tonight, I'm going to talk about tonight, are the 6 water quality issues that close at certain amounts of rain, and they're listed there. Next, please. Okay, I'm switching gears to rain, and this is just again confirming what we've been dealing with this year with all the rain. This is annual rainfall total at TF Green from 1904-05 through 2023. It's an uphill line. It is rainier now than it was, say, 100 years ago. If we were having this meeting 100 years ago, I'd say on average, there was 36 inches of rain, about 3 inches a month. Now, it's 4 inches a month on average, 48, 49 inches of rain per year at TF Green. In addition, this is a NOAA graph from a few years ago. Up at top is Rhode Island. This is national. Each of these bars is how many intense storms of more than 2 inches occur each year. And it's been increasing in recent years. So more rain, more intense rain. If you're running a conditional area on a ½ inch, it's not great news. Next, please. This is actual rain data from TF Green. It's the same data in 2 places, 2 formats. The blue bars are rainfall by month. The units are inches over on the side from January 23 through the end of August, just a short time ago. I'm just going to pick off a few highlights. January 2023, wow, 6.76 inches of rain. 2.92 inches more than usual. We'll never see that again in January. January 2024, 9.3 inches of rain, 5.5 inches more than usual. We are having a lot of heavy rain, unusual rain patterns. March of this year, 12 inches of rain. Crazy amounts of rain. Adding it up for 2023, 57.7 inches of rain. The average over the past 25 years is 49 inches, 8.5 inches above normal in 2023. This circle down below is this year, 2024, through August, through the end of August. We've had 49.3 inches of rain. That's a year's worth of rain by the end of August. It's 18 inches above where it should be at August. It's a lot of rain. And I know when you're looking at your phone or getting the hotline and it says Area East closed again, or whatever, this is no comfort. But one take-home message I want to give you is that through 2023 with more rain, and so far through 2024 with even more rain so far, we've had very few, no downgrades, no new closure areas. The conditional closures are working, so there's some comfort in that. Maybe just that much. Next, please. Okay, this next couple of slides is rain gauges, right? Just very quickly taking a step back, how we do this, there's 4 people in our group in water resources that sometime around 7, 8 in the morning, 3, 4 in the afternoon, check the rain gauges. We use 3 gauges. There are NOAA gauges at TF Green, Taunton Airport, and Westerly Airport. This includes on weekends and on holidays. We take turns doing coverage. There's been some bumps in the road, some problems this summer. 3 main issues. One was metric units. Double countings happened a couple of times, and then weird addition to the column. So I'm going to just give a little update and a little demonstration of each of those situations that we've had this summer. The first one was on July 6th. The person on call looked at their phone or computer for the rain gauge at about 3 o'clock, saw 1.19. They did not look at the units. For some reason, their device, the column had switched to metric. I was not the person on call. I see it on my phone and say, huh. I started looking at it. Several of you folks either emailed or phoned me and said, this is not right, which you are absolutely correct. About an hour later, we figured out now the error. We issued a corrected notice. So things do happen. We're doing 130 rain closures a year. Even if we're good and correct 99% of the time, we're gonna have mess ups. So that was simply operator error. We've identified it, fixed it now. One thing related to that, I know many of you follow the rain gauges. If you see that, email, phone at the end is both my contact you get. I check my phone and email on weekends. Let us know. If it's a screw up, we'll fix it. Next one, please. This will be hard to see. This is double counting. This is TF Green data from August 15th, just a month ago, more or less. Usually the TF Green gauge reports at 51 minutes past the hour, 18:51, 19:51, 20:51. In this case, there was a report at 18:46 and 18:51, counting the same rain twice, essentially. So you see this adding up. It adds up to 0.84 inches. If you add that up, the 3-hour total is only 0.49. Why does that matter? Area E closes at 0.5. If you interpret it as 0.84, we put a closure notice. If it's 0.49, it stays open. In this case, we did some cross-checking with other gauges. The area stayed open. This was just a screw up on the National Weather Service. Next, please. I'll have some more updates on that. This next one is inconsistent addition on the TF Green webpage. August 26th, I think the last time we had a closure. If you look at the hourlies, it adds up to 1.3 inch. The 3-hour is 0.9. Again, it matters, right? Area A closes at 1.2 inches. What is it? The 6-hour, when it did post, said 0.9. We left area A open. At this point, I contacted the Weather Service. Next one, please. Got it. It's hard to see. A bunch of emails back and forth. Essentially, the weather, I said, was it 0.9 or is it 1.38 inches? I said, yes, there's definitely something weird going on there. The software that reports the hourlies sometimes doesn't add it up right. It's likely an IP issue, blah, 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 related to web services IDP, which I don't know what it means, but that leaves us sort of stuck. Rain gauges we've counted on for years and have been reliable and now a little shaky. The meteorologist at the Norton office offered this other website that we now cross-check with. It gives 5-minute rain updates. So if one is saying 1.38, but the 5 minutes didn't add up to 0.9, and I chose 2.38, 1.38 or 0.9, we're going to go with 0.9. We have the hourlies to cross-check. So that's 3 examples of rain gauge mix-ups this summer. I think we have a way to cross-check it. One was just user error. The others seem to be reporting problems at the National Weather Service. Next one, please. Okay, getting to conditional area closure summaries. This is from 2023, a small crop. I forgot to bring up. Every year we tally up almost everything I've talked about except the rain gauge in a report that we send to the FDA. It's a requirement. It demonstrates to them that the conditional areas that we're running are meeting criteria under the conditions we state. Okay, so this is available. It's online every year. The past few years we put it on, and I'm happy to talk about any part of it. This is the sum from 2023. I'm just going to focus on the percent closed. In 2023, all the areas were closed a little more than normal. Upper Bay Area A should be on average somewhere around 20 to 25% of the time. It was up near 30. E and Greenwich Bay and Kickamute and Mount Hope, they're all a ½ inch. They should be around 50, 48 to 50%. They're all up around 55 up to 57%. Point Judith is a new area. I don't have as much of a sense, but that was high. So in 2023, 169 rain closures. 2024 so far we're at 132. Continuing the wet weather. And just quickly go through with a few points on each of the conditional areas. This is Upper Bay Area A. A little history in 2011, the rain closure bumped up from a ½ inch to 0.8. 2017, it went from 0.8 to 1.2 inches. 2021, we ended the requirement for a bypass closure from the waste treatment plants. And since that time, it's open on average about 260 days, or about 71% of the year. 2024 so far, it's actually been doing a hair better. So that tells me that probably most of the rain we've had has been more than a ½ inch, because he's been closed a ton, but less than 1.2. So I haven't done that full analysis. We've had no area A illness reports from Shellfish in the past 3 or 4 years. These are the compliance statistics for area A, taking all those individual numbers. Geometric mean, remember, this should be less than 14, and less than 10% of these should be greater than 31. Everything in area A is meeting, including 2 prohibited stations over by the corner there, south of Community Point, where Bucky Brook and Mill Cove comes out. They're looking better in the past few years. So area A, the conditional management at 1.2 inches is working.
That's a quick question. Yeah, when you talk about the geometric mean of 14, is that when at like all of your readings, or is that like when it would be open? Like I'm assuming like in wet weather, it would be over 14.
Yes,
So these are just the dry weather.
this is when it's open.
Okay.
Yes, very good point. So I think I have a slide showing that coming up, but conditionally approved areas, you sample when it's closed sometimes.
Right.
But if it was in the closed status, it does not go into compliance.
Okay, that-
Exactly right, yeah. Good point. Next, please. All right, area E, since May of 2021, about 1,900 acres, ½ inch rain closure. These days closed are just the rain days. As you all know, and spent many hours talking about, there's a commercial harvest schedule. I think Pat's going to give an update on those days open. This is just the rain closure part. On average, it should be about 50%, 48, 50%. A couple of things by month. August just passed of this year. It was closed 28.5 days and closed 98% of the time. At 90% of the time, you know that. So far this year, it's been closed 58, so it's up about 10% above where it normally would be. People sometimes ask, how do you know if you could up the rain closure, say, if you don't go in when the area is closed? And we do try to, as resources allow, sample when the area is closed. We've made 58 sampling trips since 2021, when we set the ½ inch criteria. Of those, 23 were where it's closed. So there is a data set to evaluate if the rain closure could change, and I'll work on that over the next few months. I don't know what it will say. If it does, I don't expect it to be a large change, but we can evaluate. We have the data to evaluate whether the area can support bumping the rain closure up or down. I haven't done that analysis yet, but there is data to do it. Next one, please. This speaks to what you said. This is area E as managed. So the statistics when it's in the open status, so we haven't had much rain. Way less than 14 for the geo mean. And these 2 are the approved stations there. None of them are exceeding 31. So it's doing fine. If you took all the data, including when it's wet weather, and ran it as an approved area, like it was down the basin here, here's the statistics. Meeting the 14, but all of the variability is far exceeding the ethical criteria. So we do that all the time just to cross-check, are the conditional closures effective. So far, the ½ inch rain has worked as being protective of public health. There have been 2 shellfish illness reports from area E over the past 3 years. They're both from co-harvest, harvested on August 1st and 3rd in 2022. These were initial reports. They weren't confirmed. The Department of Health has sort of a layered strategy. Initial report just means somebody was sick, went to the doctors, and had shellfish in their diet and may have been caused by shellfish. There could have been other factors. But still, even if those were actual illnesses, which they weren't confirmed, 2 illnesses out of 21 million plants harvested is a very low risk. It's well below the FDA guidance, so the half-inch enclosure is workable.
That's not Vibrio that they got sick or they never found
No,
out.
it wasn't culture. No, it's just, these initial reports are just somebody went, had gastro symptoms.
Follow-up.
Yep, yeah, so no, not a full-blown investigation. Next one, please. The other question sometimes people, the SAP asked me to talk a bit about is moving the north line in area E. So, right, in 2021, you couldn't harvest north of Connecticut, right, the line Connecticut to Nyack. 2021, after about 5 years of sampling and other background work, it moved to this line from Gaspee across to Bullocks. You know, could it move north more is the question to try to address. There's two things that we can look at to get at that. One is the actual data. This is August 11th of 2022. The area E was open and the fecal coliform down in area E was 2 to 11. So it's 5, it's below 14. Up at station 5 and 6, which are these two, just north of the line, we had 54 and 480. We see in the handfuls of data that we have that there is kind of a jump in fecal coliform as you go from south of Gaspee Point up. Part of it may be the Patuxent River coming, I'm not sure. So there's the data that we have aren't supporting bumping the line to the north at this time. In addition, right, up the Providence River, there's major sewage treatment plants that are discharging treated effluent. These are the permit amounts. When everything's working fine, the fecal coliform in the discharge is single digits. FDA guidance indicates you have to have a contingency plan if it goes above. What if they lose disinfection? What if there's a problem for a few hours? Do you have sufficient dilution between the discharge and the shellfish plants? Next one, please. So as part of reopening area E in 2021, we did this analysis. It's a plumes volumetric model. It's similar to the models that we used to when the plants were sited in the Providence River. And it's saying if you had discharge at Fields Point at that level with 100,000 bacteria per 100 mLs, which is partially treated sewage, how far would that plume go before it dilutes to 14? And the answer is Gaspee Point to Bullock. So that was the rationale behind making the line there in 2021. We would have to revisit this analysis if we wanted to move the line off. And I'm not sure the plumes model will come out the same. You could do a dye study. The downside of doing that is that if the dye study, for example, indicates that it goes into current area E, that could be a problem from keeping area A open, area E, sorry, open as is. So those are the two complications of moving that line at Gaspee Point. Next one, please. Greenwich Bay, just kind of quickly going through, on average, it's open about half the year, 182 days per year. These are the various years going back to 2010. There have been no shellfish-related illness reports from Greenwich Bay. Just point out, I think maybe Mike mentioned it when you were talking about the schedule. In 2023, it was closed. In December of 2023, the area was closed 28 days of the month. So the harvest schedule there obviously wasn't very much. The harvest, commercial harvest this January to April. February was good. It was closed only 20% of the time. March was awful. It was closed 77% of the time due to rain. Unlike area E, we've only had 9 trips in the past few years when the area was closed. We don't have as much data to evaluate the rain closure level. That's something we should work on. One thing related to Greenwich Bay, the transplant back in May of this year, the FDA guidance is 60 days of preparation time with the area in the open status. It has rained so much between May and now that it's only been 48 days in the open status. So
What does that mean?
it means two things. the harvest doesn't open till December, so 12 more days between now and then. We'll hit 6,
I thought it was 15 days in a row.
Yeah, I thought we-
14 days in a row.
That's what I thought it was too.
oh, okay.
Back when we did area E transplant, it was that number, because I remember we were all pushing for it to stay dry, you know, to dry to stay. But I thought you reevaluated
Yes,
what
yes,
they
yes.
asked, and it was only,
It is, no, you're right. For
Okay, we've been
bacteria,
counting the days of things, we're
No, you're right.
by one.
you're right, right. For bacteria, it's 14, this is for MSC, another criteria. Sorry. That's it.
So right,
does
right
that sound
now,
right, folks? So we still need 12 more days or whatever it is?
so right now,
No,
we should have
we
met
should
that,
be
right?
getting one. You're right.
Like
You're
this
fine. You're fine.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like this week, all the month of August, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Right, sorry about that. That's an error on my part. It's related to a different criteria.
May I ask when we lose area B, what is the standard on the rainfall? So like 3.5? 3 inches. 3 inches. And that just closes B and leaves the West Bay open. And then it's another amount that closes us to the bridge, because we've had different kind of closure.
Yeah, 3 inches, it should be a line. Ponset Point, Jamestown, north tip of Jamestown, south tip of Prudence, and across.
That's over 3.
That's over 3 inches, 24 hours, which is,
May going forward, we might want to look into doing something into the Fox Island transplant. And like shut it down and make that like an emergency place to go. We've done that in the past where we were waiting for the December schedule to happen and something happened in October, November, and we're allowed to go in there. But that area now, because it used to be the bridges, now it's the donut to Hope
Yeah.
Island over the Prudence.
Right.
Yeah. So that area of Fox Island, so maybe going forward, you know, you could look into doing something out of Mill Cove, which is the source we used to do, and have that as a backup in case we lose some kind of, you know, lose the whole bay down. You could kick it in and have it open.
one thing related to that, I know I've spoken to some folks about like early openings. For an emergency closure, there's much more leeway for early openings. If there's, say, that emergency closure that we just described, if we go into the area south of area B 3 days after and get the results 4 or 5 days, you know, in a couple more days, and they're all good, it's fine to reopen early. For conditional areas, each of those conditional areas has a plan that we're supposed to follow. If it says close for 7 days,
Well, it's not a conditional area.
no, so down there, it's fine to open them.
Right, we could either do it through regulation, saying if there's a major closure, you know, that schedule will be implemented. Or in the past, I think we went through the director, and he stepped in and allowed it, so, but I mean, going forward, that might be something to.
I got a question now, that closure, when they have that Aquapalooza, they close the east side of Prudence.
Yeah.
That's a 7-day closure, shouldn't that be tested right away or something? See,
Yeah.
You know, because that's a big impact, it's, a
So-
lot of guys can be working. on it.
Yeah, and I know the previous summer, folks were upset about that and asked for some updates on that.
Yeah.
So what we've done the past 3 years is on the Monday or Tuesday after, gone out and sampled. So far, the data demonstrate it's fine. At some point, we will be able to say, instead of a 7-day closure, we can come to some, I don't know what that number will be, but you're right. It's a poorly placed festival. If they could do it in prohibited waters, it would be,
It's a big area to be
Yeah.
closed, like if,
yeah,
you got hardly west wind or south wind.
Right.
And it closes off that whole side.
right.
I
Yeah,
have nowhere to go.
there is some work on that. It's 3 times now, 3 years, we've gone out 1 or 2 days out. The Monday or Tuesday. To keep working on it. Okay, yeah, noted, for sure. All right, let's keep rolling along there.
There's a question online. I
Okay.
think it might make sense to bring it up now.
Okay,
Jim Boyd asked, in this morning's Projo article on baiting beach closures, it was noted that, Department of Health retest beaches after closure is triggered, and there's been more of an effort to retest more often as soon as possible to keep the closure time to a minimum. Is it possible to have such an effort for shellfish growing areas to reduce automatic 7-day closures and allow access when monitoring shows water quality standards have been met?
Yeah, so that's what Mike and I just sort of talked about. In approved areas, yes. In conditional areas, there's a conditional area management plan for each of these, and it states the 7-day closure, and that's filed with the FDA. That's what we're supposed to follow. So I agree with what Jim has asked there, that yes, it's possible in approved, it's more difficult in conditional areas.
You say more difficult, is it possible?
I think the best possibility would be to revise the plan.
Okay, that was my next point.
Yep.
If you revise the plan, it's a really good possibility we can extend the fishing times.
Yes.
So that's what I was just hoping that you know, yes, like this meeting, I was hoping like we get to that point where I know it's a lot more work for you guys, but I mean, they're spending like oodles of money on a lot of other dumb things, and this is more important because it's like a lot of self-employed people that could lose them, you know.
So what, from this meeting, this is the start.
Yeah.
Over the winter, go through the available data. Greenwich Bay, like I said, we've only been 9 times when it's closed recently. It's not a huge amount of observation. Area E, there's more to work, but we'll reevaluate. If it's supported, you revise the plan.
Is there any possibility of getting rid of the 7 days and just do on water quality? In other words, when certain other areas of states, they actually don't, they have a day limit, like a week or whatever, but they go right out and start testing the water. As soon as the water is okay, I guess the next day it's open.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that make that difficult. One is it becomes a bit unpredictable on the timing of things. So for example, if it rained on Thursday, the Department of Health typically isn't going to process samples on Saturday, Sunday. So we could collect Friday. Really, you might as well collect Monday because they can't sit around and bacteria are going to grow. So there's a bit of unpredictability there.
But it's still 1 or 2 days actually means a lot because that 1 or 2 days, it could rain again, or would be out another week.
Yeah.
So every day, even like with the river, having the schedule we have this year, with not, rotating days, that 1 or 2 days, it just extends to another week and then another week.
If they overlap.
Right, and it's just, the shorter spurts we can get of the area being closed, I think it'd be better for, the industry.
Yeah, no, understood. I think the most workable way to get at that is to try to assess the data and see if it supports a shorter closure and put that in the management plan. So it's regularly happening that way, whatever the days, the number of days are. If it's less than 7, so be it.
Because I thought this would be ideal for you guys because the last 2 years have been pretty rainy, so the samples must be, you must have enough samples to go forward.
But I think we do, yes.
Thank you.
Yep, sure. Okay. Well, okay, I'm not gonna say a heck of a lot. No illness reports. Everything meets criteria. I will say this extensive closed area around is due to the City of Fall River's wastewater treatment facility and time of travel from there out under the Mount Hope Bridge. We were able to upgrade this area, about 500 acres off Tuisset a couple of years ago. And we're kind of taking an extra look at the data as it comes in now because the dam at Kickamuet's been removed to see if that alters maybe along the lines of what you're saying, number of days or rain closure amount. I don't know yet because this just happened. That's it from Mount Hope, please. And the last conditional area is Point Judith. That's the newest area. It's the only one in the salt ponds. It started in February of 2020. And the problem is basically the Saugatucket River flowing in from North Kingstown down through Wakefield into the head of Point Judith Pond. These red areas are the prohibited areas. And they in the past were sufficient to dilute the input of bacteria from the Saugatucket River down to 14 at approximately that line and down on that side. Now the combination of increased bacteria in the river, more rain, when it's rained more than 1.4 inches in 24 hours, you need this additional area to dilute it down to 14. How did we come to find this? In reviewing the statistics a couple of years ago, area station 15 shown here in red exceeded the criteria. It's supposed to be less than 31, there it was 44. Looking at the data, this was in 2019, there are a lot of samples after 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 inch rain. If you drop those and run the same statistics, it meets criteria. So this is a case where managing it as a conditional area with a high rain closure allowed these areas to at least be open during most of the year. Typically, it's closed something like 35 days a year, about 10% a year. This year, of course, it's out because it's raining. Okay. Kind of winding through, next should be approved areas. Each year when the summer report comes out, we make a list of areas that are meeting criteria, but they're usually the 90 percentile is getting up 3/4 of the way towards exceeding. This is the list from May of this year. You'll notice that all of the stations except one that are on the watch list are in the salt ponds. I'm just going to walk through a couple of them. The first one, the only one that's not in salt pond, is here at the Green or Potawatomi River. We have 2 stations nearby. 9.5 is right on the line, the closure line that runs across the mouth of the river. 9.13 is up the river a ways, kind of near the Rocky Hill School sailing dock there. The problem here is bacterial loading from the river. 4 to 6 times a year, we go to the Forge Road by land, grab bacteria samples, and it's consistently 100 to 200 fecal coliform per 100 mils. So picture the volume of that river coming over the dam with that much bacteria. It takes that volume to get it down to 14. It's exceeding here, it's meeting right at the mouth. Couple of highlights. This is from, make sure I read across, July 5th, 2023. At the mouth, 600 fecal coliform per 100 mLs. You want to be up for, there's a lot of farms up there, isn't there? Or there's a, in the watershed, there's a TMDL plan, daily loading plan, that another section of DEM water resources is done. Some farms, a lot of the areas are septic, and there's a lot of development up to the water.
Geese and stuff and
Yeah.
swans and.
So there are some high flyers even at the mountain. But we do look, we go in there at least 6 times a year, take samples and check them out. Yeah. Next one, please. Similar for Narrow River, it's closed. We have 5 stations by land. They're not meeting criteria, but we do keep checking. Next one, please. Oh, can you go back one? Sorry. I'm trying to rush because I know I'm going long. So these are areas that are all prohibited, but we do check them as resources allow. So I talked about Green River, Narrow River. We go to the Palmer maybe only once or twice per year, including 100 Acre Cove, Inner Whitford Harbor, Bissell Cove on the inside of the closure line. Same thing, 2 streams come in there for bringing in bacteria. Duck Cove in North Kingstown, Cranston Cove in Jamestown, and in the Pawcatuck River, which we used to sample about 6 times a year with Save the Bay. That's sort of broken down.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah.
Is that, Bonnet Shores? What's that thing, that
Yes.
lake and the?
That's, is it Wasky Ponds? What, how do you say it? West Wage. West Wage, yeah, it's that marshy area up behind the beach.
Okay.
Yeah. But the point of this is we do check for the years as we can to see if there's potential. Next one, please. Potter Pond has a couple of high flyers here at the north end of the pond. Here's the connection in from Point Judith. Route 1 would be up here. Stations 27 and 24 at the north end. They're getting close, right? Station 24 is at 29.3. You want to be under 31. 26, again, you want to be under 31. So we watch them. And in that case, there are 2 small streams up there. They don't seem to have a ton of flow. Maybe it's runoff, maybe it's groundwater, we don't know. We haven't gone beyond documenting this. Next one, please. A couple more salt ponds, Foster Cove and Integrat in the farther southwest corner in Quaney Pond. A high flowers, both of these in 2019, it was another wet year. The salt ponds had high bacteria numbers. When we look at the compliance statistics for approved areas, we're going back 5 years. These 2019 observations were high, and they're still in the data set. They're going to roll out next time. The observations since then have been lower. I expect these will come back into compliance the next round. Next one, please. Okay. Towards the end, FDA and ISSC updates. In March of 2023, there was a meeting of the ISSC, which sets the rules for this whole NSSP guidance. Rhode Island, Mass, and Maine were in a little bit of a battle with the FDA in that in 2019, they said any area where you see 20 boats, whether it's 13-foot whalers, sunfish, open skiffs, john boats, you have to close that area when those boats are there. They had very new and strict interpretation of boats as threats of pollution sources. So Rhode Island, Maine, and Mass said we only want to count boats that actually have a marine sanitation device on board. That will let us more flexibility and also more accurately describe the threat. That became part of the NSSP in 2023. What does this mean? Essentially, it means that neighborhood mooring areas, like at the end of some of the points as you go down along North Kingstown, over in Jamestown, in the salt ponds, where people have been shellfishing recreationally for years, but there's 20 small boats can remain as they have been for the most part. It was a change in the FDA's interpretation of boats as a potential pollution source. This allows, these 3 words, allow us flexibility to keep things more or less as they are and minimize the impact on the industry and recreation farmers. In June of this year, the FDA every 1 or 2 years visits our office and audits us, checks our conditional area management plans, our record keeping, closure records, all kinds of stuff. We did fine, no big problems, no deficiencies. There's 2 ongoing issues that we're working through. For years and years, the offshore waters out to the 3-mile limit from Westerly to Westport, Mass. were considered remote because they are pretty darn far, mostly from pollution sources, and we only have to sample them twice a year. The FDA no longer considers them remote, so we have to get out there 5 times a year. It's mostly a logistics thing. We work with law enforcement. They take us out for that. We go out when we can on a decent day. So that's a logistics thing. We're working through it. And this is related to seasonal mooring areas. They want us to identify each one and map it separately, but we're working on that.
I have a few questions on that.
Sure.
And this is coming from aquaculture here.
Yeah.
This is an issue that's been discussed with a bunch of different farmers. 20 boats equals a conditional area. I think that's what you just said.
In the past, but now it's 20 boats with marine sanitation devices on board.
So if you don't have marine sanitation, you don't count as a boat.
Right. So what our office does is as we sample, we go around and we're not going and checking everything. That's not feasible. It's also,
Right.
we have a working list, 13-foot whalers, open john boats. If the boats in that area include the ones on that list, they don't count towards the plan.
How, if it is a conditionally enclosed area, how much area around that mooring field is conditional? I mean, Charles Vinaigrette has huge mooring fields, like the ponds are huge mooring fields, like the pond is divided into 4 sections of mooring this, mooring this, mooring this.
Right.
And what does that mean?
Right.
You also said seasonal neighbor mooring areas means what? They're seasonal neighborhood mooring areas.
There's like in the town's harbor management plan, there's official mooring areas.
Yeah.
As you say, every 1, 2, 3, how many number it. And then there's others that are just, people have unofficially thrown boats out on the end of their property. So all of those, the FDA wants us to do. But to get to your previous question about how do you determine how big to close? There's guidance in the SSB on default dilution calculation, so they have very, I think, unrealistic assumptions. So they assume 2 people per vote, there all the time, and a different loading. So what we have done historically, we said, no, we don't agree with these assumptions. We have data that shows, for example, these are parking lot areas. The people don't stay on the roads. They're not staying on 15-foot John road. They're parking the thing and they're going up in the house. So we worked through the dilution calculation to calculate the size of the program.
Take quantity, there's a lot of boats that are quite large and quite expensive, but they're bass boats, they're open boats. People don't sleep on any of those
Right.
boats. But there's people all in the salt ponds that have mooring fields on their leases currently. So that's kind of a tangled web that we don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah. But this gives us more flexibility than previous.
But we're required to have a marine sanitation
No.
device on all our boats. Could be a 5-gallon bucket that's labeled sanitation device with the lid.
I'm not sure if you have to.
We worked when we did the rules and we didn't have to have, we're certain day boats.
Yeah.
We did ours, so that's a 4 boats, we have to have sanitation
I have,
devices on them.
You have to have a bucket that says sanitation.
No.
All we do. It's a gray area. I just looked at that. It's a gray area.
we'll work.
How about phase 3 of the NBC thing, will that affect us, do you think, going forward?
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I have one more, just to wrap up. I know it's been up for a while. So it's been wet, we already knew that. The conditional closures are effective. I know they're not your favorite thing probably, especially right now. There were no downgrades after evaluating 2023's data, and so far, looking at stuff as it comes in, I don't expect any, which I think is pretty remarkable given the amount of rain we've had. 2 different main sources, right? The bay, we can usually find that it's a river or a waste treatment plant. That's the main contributor. The ponds, it's a little trickier. They're non-point for the most part, except for Saugatucket. We're managing through the FDA and ISSC changes. That marina definition just was published, so we're working through that along the lines of your question, Jeff. We do sample areas that are closed to evaluate. Since 2021, there's been 2,600 acres reclassified from prohibited to either conditional or approved. And all this stuff is available. It's a little bit dense. It's an FDA focused report. It's online. I'm happy to send a copy, or if there's data you need or want, just call or email. And likewise, on the closures, when things seem screwy, and I know some of you have spoken with me, both my email and phone, it comes through email, I check it out, email and stuff, just call and say this doesn't seem right, and we'll try to figure it out.
Excellent presentation, but I have one comment.
Okay.
The mix-up on imperial and metric units is a real thing. And the biggest cautionary tale that was told to me was in the mid-70s, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California crashed one of their first Mars probes because of that problem.
Oh my God.
And that was a $50 million mistake.
Feel a bit better.
I have a question. A bunch of years ago, when we started talking about the 7-day closure, forget who it was that was doing the presentation at the time, said that the flow rate in the bay was about 5 days from the rainfall perspective, and that the FDA, I believe, said that it was they wanted a 48-hour deparation for the shellfish after the water became a certain.
Yes, I think that's correct.
Is that still in effect? So to Jerry's point, saying if, okay, we had a rain event, okay, and you guys went up and tested it, and maybe we're on a moon or something and the flow rate is faster.
Yep.
And it tested clean. Then even at that point would still be 48 hours from the time it tested clean. Till we could get in there to harvest.
Correct.
So that 48 hours is, the reason I ask this is because I've talked to so many people from different states.
Yep.
And we seem to be the only ones that are doing something like that. Some of the other areas of Maine and such, I've spoken to some folks, they didn't ever hear of it. They like when it comes clean, they go in and they harvest. And I'm just wondering if that's something that Rhode Island does as a precaution, kind of over and above what's necessary, or is that coming from the FDA or whoever is?
It's from the FDA,
Okay,
but I, you know, if you want to share on the side, when you talk to them, hey, I talk to them and see what they're doing. See
I will.
If it applies.
I will. I'll get in touch with you so we can because I've heard this from a couple of different folks and maybe they know or they don't, but most of the time they're saying basically the water quality goes out, they test okay, they're open.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, okay, and I know that it came to a kind of a blanket 7-day policy because of previous amounts of data that had come forward through the years and saying, okay, well, the bay empties itself on a norm in 5 days, and then 2 days extra for the liquidation. So I'm just, going back to his point, if we could shorten that time frame, that would really help out, I think.
Right.
For us.
No, understood. So the way it is now, we have to demonstrate acceptable water quality on day 5 +2. So you get to 7. If we could demonstrate acceptable water quality on day 4 +2, you become a 6th day.
Right. Thank you.
But yeah, if you have a contact with me.
I will. I'll be in touch.
Please talk.
I'll be in touch because I'd like to see if that's something that is definitely enforced up and down the eastern. You know what I mean? Why are they able to get into their areas quicker than we are for ours?
Right.
And I know some places up north, those bays empty out really fast. I get it. Yeah. I'm just thinking that a lot of times, especially like now we're on a moon, that bay empties out pretty quick. And it empties out, so.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
So the FDA is saying that 7 days, no matter what.
No. They're saying whatever you demonstrate as was returning to acceptance, less than 14.
So that's a matter of testing.
Yes, in a conditional area. It's reviewed as an initial plan and then reviewed periodically. If the data, for example, says area E is making up, it's back to less than 14 in day 4. +2, the closure will go from the current 7 days to 6. The FDA part is the 2-day self-cleansing.
Because we've seen, what I'm confused about is we've had times where it's closed at 0.5 to.
Yeah.
And it'll be a week, it's closed.
Yeah.
And then it'll close at an inch,
It's still.
and it'll be a week. I don't understand how that, you would think that, a day or two, that 0.02 would be gone.
So one of the things in the data set that those closed strips we could evaluate is, can you have maybe a 2-stage?
That's what I'm asking, like, if it's below 0.6 closure.
Right.
Will it be a 3-day closure?
Sure.
3 days.
It's 0.75 to 1 inch up.
Yeah, is that something that's possible?
It is, as long as the data supported it.
And if that wouldn't be possible, is there another possibility that? Would you agree that there's more people working on as you get closer to up the river? Technically, you said at that line, there was more above the line where you were testing, right?
Generally, yes.
So if you get closer to A, technically there'd be less
Yes,
in a sense.
on average.
Would there be a possibility to technically cut the area in half, area E, and have the upper part be 0.7? I mean, the upper part be 0.5 and the lower part be 0.7.
Technically, it would be possible. I'm You have to look at the data to explore, because you picture a 40-foot dredge channel. And we see it in stations. The bacteria shows up there first and it, passes through the whole area. I know you're not really digging the channel, but the areas that are open to commercial shellfishing are adjacent to the channel, not all the way over past the cove, or way over past the coves over by buildings. I have a feeling, and you have to look at the data to see that doing that, it's not a huge area. I think that gradient isn't that big, but we can look.
I'm just trying. to
Yeah,
figure out
no.
if we can get in there.
Yep.
More when there's 1.5 forward.
Yeah, so the steps generically, you have to have the data. Analyze the data, demonstrate that it's acceptable at so many days after certain rain. And then make that argument. So we have the data, to update it since 2021, that much that since 2021. So,
Okay.
Sure. I have one more. When you said that it could go, when you're talking about, getting the water to go, instead of half an inch, it could go up a little. What is, I'm gonna hold you to it. What did you say a little, is a little an inch? Or could it be a quarter of an inch? Could we go from like a, half inch to 3/4 or half inch to 0.6 or any idea? Nobody's listening.
Hands are coming out. I don't want to give a number, but, whatever it is, it would have to be supported. And fractions of an inch, not inches.
No, I was just hoping to get a fraction of an inch.
Yeah, and then the other question, and this would be a question to bring to the advisory panel. Say it goes to 0.6, we can support 0.6, and you do an analysis, how many days, how many of these closures will go away?
Let's look, we got the rain, we can't open it every day, we're only gonna get 50%.
Okay.
Or 45% or whatever, I'm just concerned that, just like to get it bumped up, so we can start going back to work, those.
Right.
And those.
Yeah, so-
borderline days.
So I can commit to doing the analysis, bringing it forward to Joe Haverett, the chief of water resources, and saying, look, this is what it says. And go from there.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, thank
Oh,
you.
of course.
While we're trying to wiggle as much as we can get, when we had the Quad initiative, we were able to get water quality. If it closed noontime on Monday, it would open the following noontime. Where before it'd be Tuesday morning. Right now, a 7-day closure is like 168 hours. And the difference between a sunrise opening and a noontime opening, 5 hours, 6 hours. So you almost wonder, is that enough to make a difference where you lose the entire day? Because that's what happens.
Right.
Area E will close one day at noon, and it's scheduled to be open all these Mondays, but yet it's not gonna open until Monday at noon the next week, which makes it, so we're talking 5 hours or like 0.2% of what the actual closure is. So you could gain a day there, and not lose that, half day, which means it's not open.
Yeah, that's another thing to evaluate.
Is that something where they give you enough wiggle room where you can change it by that?
Well, the same principle would apply. Instead of showing it meeting at 5 days, tack on 2, show it meeting at 4.5. Become 6. Yes, but it's worth trying to look at.
Yeah, it's only 5 hours.
But I know.
That's just like, geez, it's dirty in the morning, but it's clean in the afternoon. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was waiting for
Just like to thank you for doing a great presentation. And you were always very accessible anytime we need to talk separately. And I just want to thank you for everything. Thank you.
Yeah, and honestly, that phone number goes to email and I look at it on weekends. So if you say, hey, this doesn't add up to 0.5 or whatever, get a hold of it. And
I'll vouch for that. David's responded to me quite a few times.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, he's
He
great.
deserves a raise. Come on, just say that, you deserve a raise.
While you're on thin ice. Take care
Well,
of
you're
the.
retired.
That's incredible.
Dave, should I ask you questions now or wait till the end of the, because I guess he's setting up for the next presentation?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Quick.
Yeah, I'll be as quick as I can. Vibrio update, maybe you could explain to we're the Shellfish Advisory Panel, and we never seem to talk about Vibrio in this group, and I think that's really shame on us. And I think that also there's a new Department DEM chapter, a subchapter, aquaculture, marine species in Rhode Island waters. It's this thick, this is a copy of it, and it's some pretty massive changes and requirements in it. Why don't we have a copy of it? Why isn't it emailed to every member of this Shellfish Advisory Panel? Why do we all have to look? It's in the Department of DEM Agriculture and Resource Marketing, subchapter 00, Marketing and Food Safety. And that's where they had it hidden.
I can, if there's time, quickly speak to that. What you just read is part of the reason. This is sort of an orphan regulation. It's under DEM Ag. It's implemented day to day by Bain at CRMC.
Yeah,
And the changes that just went through were related to Vibrio control mainly. That was saying time to temp and all that. That was pushed by Water Resources. We did the work on it with Bain and with Department of Health. So it's a little bit of between departments.
interagency
Yes.
cooperating. I agree with all that, and I've been involved with some of the changes and discussions and all that, but I'm just kind of astonished that it's not. How come you guys don't all know about this? We're talking Shellfish here. This is the Shellfish Advisory Panel. It's lost in the shuffle.
Yes.
And I really think it's important that everybody be aware, because shade, what do I have written here? Shade, ice, slurry, time to harvest, time to dealer. Those things are crucial to everybody in this room, and even, oyster farmers, but that's what this big regulation is. A lot of it's, some of it's new. Shade, ice, slurry, time to harvest, time to dealer. I have those numbers memorized.
Yeah.
And yet the people we fish next to, whatever, don't.
Yes, I think your point is valid.
Thank
It is a bit of a between agencies, and one of the multiple departments should say, promote it to the panel. So,
Ben's having a baby, so he's already.
yeah, I didn't want to throw anything around like that, but yeah.
You all set?
I hope so.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep this brief. Today we were also, just FYI, we were asked to provide a little bit of an update on the status of Providence River harvest. As to date, this, on the 16th of September was the 13th day that it was open to harvest. There remains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in the current summer schedule. And the data I'm going to present is just from our last data poll, and so it's actually only representative of the first 11 days of harvest of the year. I also included 2021, 22, 23 as well, just for some comparison. But as of now, it seems mostly pretty consistent in terms of the harvest rate. The average landings per day is at 318,000, a little bit more reminiscent of 2021 than the past 2 years. Number of harvesters per day is 163. Again, that's a little bit lower than the past couple of years, but more than 2021. And then the harvest rate, the number of clams per license per day is the lowest. It's 1,955. But this is day 11, and there's going to be more data added to this. So once everything is in, we can have a more update of what's happening in that area.
Is this available online or anything where we could get a copy of this?
This presentation will be available, but yeah, we've also been discussing ways that we can potentially provide this information online, because once it's online, it's publicly available, and then there's no need for, public access requests if it's already available somewhere. And so if there's a format or certain information that you guys would like that we can update, something like once a year or once the summer closes, I'm happy to work with you guys
Yeah,
to
but
figure out.
I'd like to see something.
Okay.
As part of that, Pat,
Yep.
I've asked, Scott, now, can we get a breakdown of the licenses that are being used too? I think
Yes.
that would be important, how many are over
You
65?
read my mind. I was just gonna hit.
Well, we've
the
asked-
Same thing.
Yeah, we've asked
Same
them
thing.
last March for that, but, things happen and, just to get an idea how many guys are only allowed 3 bushels
Yep.
compared to, and
Um,
purpose
Yes,
licenses. versus-
so we have been working on that. As I was going through some of the years, there's not as many student licenses, so some of the data I'll probably have to remove, but in terms of like the major contributors.
Yeah, the
we can
big
break
change
down.
last year with the over 65, remember how that was
Yeah.
affecting the exit entry ratio
Mhm.
that we had to figure out, so.
Yeah.
Wonder where that number is down.
Yep, I'm certainly. can-
And that 1955, is that Little Necks or is that total?
That's
plans?
total plans, and then the breakdown, the second row there is just the percentage of what the landings are, and that's, remarkably consistent between the years. So, of that 1,955, this year, currently 84% of that is Little Mix. 13 or almost 14 is tops. So,
And I know we no longer have Connor and, but basically DEM's been trying to, obviously, we are too, to try to maintain the health of this area.
of course, yeah.
And it's really hard to know exactly what the big numbers are, how many are there and that, but we've always used catch per unit effort as a way to gauge how an area is going.
Yep.
And you can chart back in 2012, it was like 1,500 for area A, and then, 1,300 and 1,100 and 1,200. So I think that's a real important number to see where we're at as far as the resource
Mhm.
going forward.
Certainly, so this is the only slide I had for you guys on the river, but happy to answer questions or move into the next item.
Yeah.
It's like little Steve.
Like, what's the river open 9 days a week? Or is it-
What's that?
How many days is the river open?
Well, it's been open 13
It's
times.
here, it's 13, yep.
Scheduled to be open 1 day a week till the end of October.
Yeah, and so,
So I don't think we'll reach the 22 number that
yeah,
we were
21
allowed.
will not be reached,
Will not
even
be
if we got every day.
And the
I think-
Christmas openings are set aside, and I guess the March, April openings are set aside too on that.
Yes, those are already in the,
Thank you.
There's like 3 hours a day or 4 hours.
3, April.
send that. You,
No, we can just real quick, just talk about that also.
I just wanted a quick note on, attendance. So just so you all know, we we have 2 less members of the staff, but, having a quorum is really important. We're 15 members, we need at least, 8, well, we would have needed at least 8 for a quorum. And this is a great showing, so thank you all. But just, moving forward, if you can attend, please let me know. And, it's something that we'll probably be reviewing at the Marine Fisheries Council, the number of staff members, that make up the panel. 15 seems kind of like a lot. It's a stretch, especially when we have a light agenda. Aquaculture, just a couple of aquaculture, not just, sorry, a couple of aquaculture, applications. Just making a quorum is, always a little nerve-wracking, even today.
But for me, I don't think we need a quorum to go forward. There's only one, they don't even do that now. This is advisory. The only quorum they need is that, IAC, which they don't have anymore, I guess. So that was my understanding, that's the only one that needed a
You
quorum,
need a quorum to vote, to make a recommendation. to
Right, but you
council,
can still
you
bring-
need a quorum.
right, to have a vote that, okay,
No quorum, no voting.
Right.
that's not how I understood it, but I don't know what you guys.
I mean, that's just,
You could bring whatever number you had to the council. There was only one IAC that had quorum as part of its.
it says no quorum, no voting, the chair can decide if you want to hold the meeting, I mean, that's why, what Katie's saying, it's really important to be in communication, so we always have a quorum. Just, let's never not have a quorum, is the answer there, you know?
Yeah, it's difficult, so if we don't vote, say, on a recommendation of a not, we don't have, there aren't, over 50% here, I can't bring that to the council, I can't, even if we have a discussion, I can't.
That's not how I thought it was, but I'll defer to you guys.
Maybe you're right, but
That's how it was. You could bring whatever we discussed and whatever, how the vote went to the council. It just wasn't an official position. That's how it was kind of described to me.
That's true, that's Katie's prerogative, to hold a meeting and bring that as not so much as a vote, but just the people that were there said this.
Right. That's, so we'll see.
Right, but when you don't have a quorum, you lose the representative sample and you're not, you
But you
should
can
be,
still have the meeting.
you're not, you can have the voting.
Still have the meeting.
That's written down, so you can decide what you want.
We
to
had
do.
IACs where it all show up and it's like, oh, line up guys, you gotta go home.
Yeah,
That was very frustrating.
Katie?
Yeah.
I'm about 99% sure that the other Cameron and its aquaculture on this is not really participating in anything involving aquaculture. So if you go to looking for new members or open slots, I feel comfortable saying that that is an open slot. I can confirm that with other people, but
I've got 2 messages for him, if there's any way you can talk to him and let us know.
he's on the outs with about everybody I know.
Okay, okay,
So
so
personally,
we may just have to go to the council and just say, we haven't been able to get in touch with him, can we take him off? We may do that.
that's confirmed. Like,
Okay.
that's the thing to do. Thank you.
Just the policy, is 8 years old, the council's operating policy, just the other thing on that agenda item. So we're looking to update that, so within that policy, there's a aquaculture policy, there's a shellfish advisory panel policy, so if you all thoughts about that, just stay tuned, we'll probably be proposing some edits. There's a lot of detail that's not in there, we're looking to add some detail, things like just a simple thing like talking about how you get your meeting materials, when you get your meeting materials, what you just details, adding some details. So just stay tuned. You'll have opportunity to, if you want to look at what's in there now, it's in your e-packet. You can certainly share any thoughts.
What was I doing wrong today?
What's that?
I couldn't find my e-packet that I was told I could get,
So you go to the calendar, so that's,
Yeah.
so.
and I punched on it, and nothing came up except for the agenda.
I'd have to look at it, I'm not gonna do that, so that, I know I did talk to her, I didn't check it recently.
Same thing happened to him.
Okay, so apologies if that's what's going on, by all means, when we schedule the meeting, the 2 weeks, you get the email that says it's there, let us know if it's not there. The meeting announcement goes out, we tell you it's in the calendar, go in the calendar, go to that date, and your e-packet's there. If it's not there, please let us know. We'll get it fixed quick.
So, while I'm on this roll, when agriculture comes up, you just said they're making some changes. And I'm very involved in this. How do I find out?
I'm just saying that the council policy we're looking at it because it's 8 years old. There's 2 things in there that pertain to you folks, aquaculture and staff. I'm not suggesting what might be changed at this meeting. I'm just saying if there's things that are in there, let us know, look at the policy and
Shouldn't the panel be notified of these things?
absolutely. There's no changes
I'm
proposed
saying
right
that
now.
we have not been notified of these things by DEM.
No,
And
just being talked about.
what's that?
It's just starting to be talked about, that it's
Okay.
8 years old, and there's some things in there that maybe we wanna look at.
Totally agree with that.
So
I'm
you'll
just-
know.
I think we all want to be on the same page on things involving our industry are out there and not find out some happenstance of what's going on. And my last comment is, real quick, I don't think this is maybe the right time, but somebody needs to talk to everybody here about the Vibrio in Rhode Island waters. And I don't know, Dave, if you want to put that on next, whatever agenda to do what, like you've done before, but I think that these people should also be aware of, or you want to do a quick 2-minute talk now? Denigrate. Did I say denigrate?
I generically, the number of Vibrio, illness reports in Rhode Island had a big jump in 2023. And in response, the Department of Health, CRC, DEM revised the aquaculture marine species regulations, which Jeff brought up earlier. It tightened up or changed to extend the period of time that more urgent icing and so forth is needed, time to temperature. So a lot of illness reports came in June of 2023. The previous regulations for tighter time and temp kicked in July. Now they kick in June 1st. That's the gist of what I have. And knock on, if this is wood, the number coming through, at least my colleagues at the Department of Health, the number of shellfish related illness reports in summer of this year is down versus 2023. Which is the goal, but health will have to give the official.
Thank you, that.
Exit entry ratio, when is that plan on being discussed for the council? Going forward, we usually decide on that around now, and has that been thought of at all? Okay.
It's not being discussed. There was no proposals, and there was never a rule change.
Well, it's usually the IAC that would decide that, but they're not doing the IAC anymore.
So our current process is, we put out the workshop, notice and bring us any, we've identified that as an item. No one came forward with anything.
Okay.
So it never went out as a proposal. So that rule is out the notice right now that the council will take up. And that's not in there. There's no proposed rule. There's no proposed change.
So status quo.
Status quo is all we're at right now.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, does anyone in the public have anything that they'd like to share? No. Go ahead.
I'd like to know, like, why are you short diggers? I'm representing 4 or 5 short diggers. Why are we biased against? Why are we being discriminated against? Why can't we be in these management areas on these Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in Greenwich or East? And why would we deprive our opportunity to go in and to get our limit as well? I mean, we're getting restricted by tides, winds, weather. We can't even get in there. Sometimes we can't get in some areas of the area. Yes, it's more shallow. Yes, we could probably work it during maybe 2 or 3 hours after high tide. But then again, if you get a right current, it might be pushing the water over your head. I mean, we're not getting in there, and then 8 to 11, it's closed. So we're not getting our opportunity. Then you guys opened it for short digging, and then people are taking advantage of the situation at the point where I have to call DEM every 25 seconds, harassing the shit out of them, because I'm seeing illegal activity going on. They're going down, they're going to the beaches, they're bringing 5 or 6 people with them. They're filling 5-gallon buckets, going into the car, loading it in the car, 2 or 3 people doing it, leaving, coming back with a different car, doing it again, changing outfits. I mean, this is what I'm seeing on a daily basis.
I see that.
All right, so you've seen that.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it, because I thought this is not the time,
Yeah.
but I see it on the Savannah River.
It's like, it's an immigration problem. It's a Massachusetts plates. It's like all day long, every day. It's a free for all for them. And then us, the short diggers, we're getting screwed.
Yeah, you're right. I can answer the once upon a time. So the intent once upon a time was to not have commercial levels of harvest in waters where there's more likely recreational use.
Right, but I mean, we're not getting anything like what you guys are getting. We're probably lucky we're getting 3 bushels or 2 bushels or a basket. I mean, and then what happens is they're eating it up to a point where the place 2 years ago, I converted, there's nothing there. This place was closed for 8 years. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? And we're not getting we're getting all charged. We're getting coconut, watermelon, they're hops. I mean, we're bringing up, like, it's a lot of work for this bullshit.
Well, I went to the DEM office, I made a downtown, right? I made an appointment to talk about this,
Yeah,
and totally blew me off. Nothing came out of that,
I mean,
and it's a really big deal.
there's 4 or 5 guys that couldn't make it here tonight, I'm fairly gonna be here the next time, but they're actively out there every day, shooting shots, and they're all over the bay. I mean, we're jerked if we can't get in there, we can't work Monday and Wednesday, you guys can't even make it so we can work there Monday and Wednesday, as long as it's a time, like maybe an hour and a half, 45 hour, at least we get out 3 hours.
And I've looked at some of the buckles, and they're a lot undersized.
Yeah, I've seen it myself.
How about, can the two of you connect? And maybe you can bring us something to the next meeting, contact me, and we can have an agenda item, maybe to come up with some solution. Then we can talk about it and, yeah.
If I may, I seem to remember this coming up when a few years ago, when we were scheduling this. And one of the problems that happened,
Yeah.
what that came up was enforcement had an issue with it. It was an enforcement type of a problem because.
They can't even enforce it now because there's over
Okay,
the staff, yeah.
Let me finish, because I have no skin in the game, so to speak, but. What the problem was, what they were saying, and maybe you would have an argument for this,
Yeah.
if it comes up again. Is they were saying that there was 2 problems they found was first enforcing it, okay? And secondly, if there was, say, a tide in the afternoon, the guys that are working it in the morning, they would be double dipping. And they didn't want that to occur. So that's where it became, okay, enforcement actually had the issue with, okay, if the tide is in the afternoon and
Yeah.
we don't have guys to get up there to enforce it, and then if the guys that are working it in the morning and there's a tide in the afternoon, then these guys are gonna go back up there and then they're gonna double dip and all of this stuff. So that's kind of what happened with E anyway. I'm not saying it's right or wrong,
I have
I'm
some
saying
ideas.
I remember that vividly coming up, because that was
I see your point.
people wrestling with that back and
I see-
forth.
I see that point.
Steamers was another issue of that too.
Right. There's no, I trust that, there is no steamers in that area. I mean, I have not seen one come up in the rig. What I am seeing come up in the rig on the shorelines is a lot of undersized surf claims. So I don't know why they're going up, growing on that, on the north side of the sandbar, and when we work every, I don't know why they're setting it over there, but hey, that's what they're doing.
But I remember that, just so you know, if
Yeah.
that comes up again, that was one of the biggest problems, and it was enforcement that actually had the problem with it.
Right.
Because that was something that we wrestled with, it was one of those late meetings.
I was thinking maybe what we do is, I don't know, talk license and maybe give us the guys shorts that can maybe pay an extra little bit of money to say, you get an endorsement of shorts, so that way the guys who wanna go double dip, we can like go double dip in there or some kind of, or maybe we call into them and we say, hey, I'm gonna be in this vicinity, I'm gonna be here, and they know we're there, and we, it's an honest thing, and that way, like, or either that, you know how the transplants were like 15 years ago, you check in, you hand in your license. Maybe we check in and hand in my licenses and we get done, call them up and say, hey, well, I'm waiting for you on my license, you wanna check me out?
Something, yeah, something.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And make it so that people
This
can't
thing,
go off, like,
I think,
because I know right now, like I said, when I first came in, there's a guy actively working for Greenwich every day because he beat up Connecticut. I did Connecticut, so he was digging off his boat all summer long. I don't know why, everybody else over in Barrington Beach, I can see him at 9 Point, and he's over there, he's digging off a boat, with 3 feet of water. Like, just everywhere else to go in the bay, and now he's over, now he's at the bottom of the Socket Road beating the shit out of that.
All right,
Sorry, I'm not
that's
talking
very
about-
sensitive.
yeah, in this vein, what I make a suggestion is, when there's a discussion, sort of months out about shore digging days, it's basically, have as part of that, your Division of Marine Fisheries presentation, what the tide cycle is on those individual days. That way you've got, kind of some key information at the fingertips when the decision is.
Yeah, I think maybe we can put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Which I do want to get to that before we stop, before we end this. We can put that on shore digging and, you are the recreational, or not recreational, the shore digging representative, correct, Roger? And,
Rod Real, but I personally go.
yeah. Well, maybe you guys can kind of work together and come up with some ideas, because these guys have seen this in
Yeah.
action for a while.
Okay,
But
Proposal.
yeah.
sometimes proposal.
I sent one
maybe
to-
we have-
Yeah, I sent one to, who did I send one to? Tom Rose, and he sent it to Peter. I said, I just was like wide open about it, like Monday through Friday. As long as it's a low tide, 3 bushels, so we're not taking 6. And the reason why I say Monday through Friday, because Saturday and Sunday is summertime, I notice there's a crazy amount of people down there, and they're all jumping on us, like, "Mark, if we move behind the houses, left of the boat ramp, they're there, the low tide's at 11 o'clock, and it ends at 11 o'clock, they're coming in, pounding it, picking up the other side, we threw back, going in there, so we're telling on ourselves where we worked. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's other ranges up there, one Monday, 2 weeks ago, or whatever the day was open, like last week, I worked up towards Rock Ave. You know what I'm saying? And I have any issues, but I mean, that over there was like a high tide already, so I was like, when I got in there, go and get them out. That's more of a shallow area.
Yeah, and then maybe, Marine Fisheries can, if you guys can present any data you have on shore digging, I don't know what your stock assessment is like on the shorelines. And maybe how it impacts your. you know,
Oh, and I put the proposal not to be a throw, I said no diving and no use of boats, we're gonna be short.
Yeah, I think they have like a,
Yeah,
Yeah, the plan was where there's public access, to not overfish areas where the recreational shellfish is removed. That was an extended program.
so on that note, we should schedule a meeting, beginning of November, the 6th or the 13th. I don't know if any of those days work well for anyone. I don't know if the association has any meetings scheduled, to discuss anything, but,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay, so November 6th, or the 13th, maybe I'll send out an email, Mike's not here, and we'll,
Oh, just so everybody knows, my family for Thanksgiving isn't doing a turkey, we're gonna do lobsters and lamb. My family all agreed to it. I can't believe it. It was like my mom's, idea and everybody's just, yeah, okay, let's go for it.
Nice.
No beef
one
clams.
more comment in the back. So,
Yeah, in area E, the 45 minutes to vacate the area was bigger. There's people leaving before they had that limitation, there were people there basically 45 minutes into 12:30. Now that they have that, there's people, I'd say half the boats are gone in 15 minutes. There's no way, but they don't want to be there. It's a catch-22.
that's a good-
I have trouble making the 45 minutes. It's just, there's no reason for it. It's one more when it's hot out, you gotta take, I don't know how many buckets to get the boat, equipment, all that stuff, 45 minutes. I can't do it. I'm going like crazy. I'm finishing just before I'm coming out of there. I'm getting to the dock, my boat's a mess. My equipment's all over the place. There's no reason for it, and I don't know if you guys have trouble with it, because a lot of guys are digging more than me. I don't have a textbook, I don't know how that's possible, I don't know any reason if it's necessary. Because people are leaving with beans, I'm sure, and they're not going back in the spot, there's a lot of problems that's created. If you wanna keep the beans in that area, who cares if it takes them to 12 or 12:30?
that was,
Nobody's gonna throw their rake down, that's what they said before, they're gonna throw the rakes back down. Nobody with, 500 or 600 bucks worth of clams is gonna reassemble their equipment at 12:30 or 12 and start digging.
I think that came from enforcement, so. then-
Yeah, I know, I talked to them before, and they just said, people are gonna start digging again, and that's all there is to it. And I know that's not the case, nobody's gonna set up their equipment after sorting all their stuff and bagging, tagging, and putting, and then throwing it right back down and jeopardizing your catch for confiscation because you set up it.
yeah.
Makes no sense at all, and it's just, I hope somebody can change that. It's not anywhere else. That's the only place that happens.
Maybe when we have the, Providence River discussion, in a few meetings.
What?
In a few, like, I think at the beginning of the year, we'll have the Providence River schedule discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you wanna bring it up then, and I'm sure enforcement will be there, they'll be able to.
It's a catch-22 for me. If I leave without bags, tagging and throw it, I stay.
It's a lot of us They go, we take, well, I do too, okay. What's the average age of car? 6 years old?
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
All right.
You guys want my numbers? I got it. Yeah. I don't mean to go back to that, so I see what I say, it's irritating. It's an irritating thing, so you're getting, like, say, I waited 20 years, but it's open up. Like,